Hello, I'm Mahesh Tavde. Today we will discuss about ingress controller. So the role of ingress controller is whenever a traffic is coming inside our cluster, so ingress controller will check where the traffic is destination is and it will route traffic accordingly. So the advantage is that if we have multiple applications, then we need not to use multiple different IP, multiple load balancer, which will reduce cost. So we need not to use multiple infrastructure for many applications. We can use one ingress controller and we can do same job. So ingress controller doesn't work alone. Here we need some rules. For example, we need put rules in YAML file and we need to apply this. This is suppose API server. Suppose this is our API server. So API server will put information in ingress controller how it should behave. So at top side I have shown a square bracket. It represent a hardware load balancer or load balancer provided by cloud provider or some open source technology like proxy we can use. So internet link is connected to hardware load balancer or cloud load balancer or some open source, and we will use concept of node port to export port interface with high node port. So in the test environment I have used the cluster. If I put this command kubectl get node, in my current existing cluster there are two nodes, one master, one worker node. If I hit kubectl get pod and kube system is the namespace, then I can see that multiple nodes are running in my existing cluster, and I will implement ingress controller on this. So as we can see, there is no ingress controller running. So I will explain how we can install ingress controller on new bare metal cluster. So here I will check what is a version of API server. So version. So as per output we can see that the client, there are two parts, client part and server part. So in client part you can see version is 1.18 and server API is also 1.18. Unfortunately 1.18 will not support our configuration, hence we need to upgrade. So how we can upgrade? So for this I will update image file in manifest. Okay, so I have updated image file. Now let us check again get pods. Since server is refusing because at backend side the process of upgrading service is in process. So I can see new API version pod is there running. So here we have updated API version. So let us check again kubectl version. Now we can see that server is upgraded to version 1.19. Now we are ready to install ingress controller. To install ingress controller, I have summarized few commands here. So these are GitHub repository. I am pulling this YAML file which is actually managed under Kubernetes. So I will keep these link in description. so you guys can directly use on your bare metal cluster. So in first YAML file, here name servers and service account has been created, namespace and service account has been created. Why we need to create service account? Because here ingress controller is an object inside a cluster, and for security reason every object needs to need rights to access another object. Suppose this ingress controller want to know that new application or new node is up, so for this ingress controller should able to learn pods information inside a cluster or in service. At the same time, this ingress controller can generate some logs, and this log should be pushed to API server so that users can learn logs, or we need to go directly on a server and read the logs here. So there are multiple reasons we need service account so that all function would work properly. Then we have created role based policy, and we have attached a service account to the policy. Then secrets and config maps we have created. Here we have ingress class. Ingress class is nothing but a name we can assign to controller, because controller doesn't work alone, we need to pass some rule. So here we will use this class inside YAML file, so where the rule should go. So we need class here, and at last we will create a ingress controller in this YAML file. I can show you the output of this. You can simply copy here and put in browser. This is YAML file we are using. Here we will use deployment, and in deployment we will create a pod, and inside this pod we will use version 2.1.1, and there are some ports we have opened as per YAML policy. Okay, so let us start, and at the end we have created node port where a port is exposed so that traffic can be entered and transmitted out from the node. So here node port is used. So let us copy all these files. You will find these commands in description and paste in the console. So we can see namespace has been created, service account has been created, role-based policy and bindings, secret maps, ingress classes, and finally there is a ingress controller has been created, and services for ingress controller has been exposed. Let us review what we have created here. kubectl, we need to define namespace. In the next one, ingress is the namespace, get all. So as we can see that there is a one deployment. So deployment is one deployment, but ready is 0, available is 0. Why is that? So we don't know, we need to identify. One pod is there which is also not ready, although pod is running, but the application inside this pod, the logic is not working, so your ingress controller will not work. So now what to do, how to identify why the pod is not running? So let us use log command, kubectl logs, then name of a pod. So this is name of pod, and namespace, always we need to enter nginx-ingress, the namespace. So there are too many things happening. There are some errors we can see, and it seems like virtual server is not configured on the server, on the file pod. So cannot get some objects here. You can see the server could not find requested resource. So by default, whenever ingress controller starts, it looks for virtual server. Now what is virtual server? So virtual server is advanced feature. So here we have written a rules. Now nginx controller has nginx has developed one more feature, and it need virtual servers, and this controller is not starting here now because it is looking for advanced feature of it. Now these are not required for us, so we need to disable it. So we need to implement this here. So enable custom resource, we need to disable it in deployment. So how will we identify? So kubectl get deployment under namespace nginx-ingress. So this is the deployment. We need to edit this deployment. So edit, remove get part and put edit and name of deployment. Okay, so we are editing running config. Go to argument. So we need to copy this. Enable custom resources is equal to failed. Create a new line over here and save the configuration, and it is accepted. Let us again check kubectl all resources, get all from namespace nginx-ingress namespace. My mistake. So right now we can see that deployment is in ready condition. 1 out of 1 is working. Also we can find that pod is also in ready condition. This means that our ingress controller has started doing job. Let us verify what is the IP address of ingress controller. IP address of a pod here. I will put O field here wide. This is the IP address of ingress controller. Let us see URL, check CURL http:// IP address of ingress controller. So we are getting some output. The web server in it is actually working. Now we need to configure this ingress controller in a such a way that it will route traffic as per application. For demonstration purpose, we need to create an application. We need to create an application, two application. So I will use again the script. Okay, this script which will create example application, tea and coffee application here. I have copied it. I will put it here, paste it here. Now deployment coffee and deployment tea has been created, and service has been created to expose this application. I can verify, and in the very last part we can see that ingress controller, ingress resource has been created. Whenever we want to deploy ingress controller, so ingress controller alone is not enough. We need to define how the rules, how should ingress controller behave. This is rules, and this is this part here, rules. So these are rules. So how we can verify what rule we have created? kubectl get ingress is the actual command. So this is actually name of resource, and let us describe kubectl describe ingress name here. So we can see that the name cafe nginx resource is actually configured. If somebody is trying cafe.example.com/t, then traffic will go to this services, t services. If somebody is trying cafe.example.com/coffee, then traffic will reach to coffee services. Okay, so our two applications they are running. Also, ingress controller is running. We have configured rules so that traffic for each application can be forwarded. Now we have to identify what is a node port it has created. So we know that we have ran this command node port. So let us check the node port. What node port we have received? kubectl get service from namespace nginx-ingress. So these are the ports exposed, one for HTTP and one for HTTPS. So 30828, let me write it here. 30828 is the port exposed. We will remove unwanted part. Okay. So this is a worker node, and worker node has many interfaces, and we have used interface and a port so that internet traffic can reach. Which port will we use? Let us check how many interface it has. So IP ADR is command. So there are multiple interfaces, and we can see that the CNI, this is the interface actually used here for CNI. So let us copy this interface IP and CURL it. So CURL //http / interface IP and colon port number, that 30282, but this is HTTPS 30828. Am I right? Yes. Here it is. We have received a warning regarding certificate issue. We will ignore it by putting flag insecure. So here, as we can see, the not found command, which is actually traffic is reaching here from internet, but ingress controller don't know how to deal with this traffic, because we have configured ingress resource to use example.com, and there is no word example in the request URL. So what we can do, we can bind this IP to hostname so that ingress controller can identify. So what I can do, my name server, this is my name, so I will use a temporary text file. This is name, and IP, this is the IP where it bind to. Normal public people, they will come through IP. The public DNS server must have our IP with the domain binding. This is again another part to discuss. This is again very big part, but now we will use host file to replace DNS function. We will add a line here which will specify cafe.example.com to reach our box. Now we will use same command, but instead we will remove the IP part and we will put domain name here. cafe dot example dot com. Okay, so we are getting same output. Why? Because as per our policy, we have created rule that user should type tea or coffee. Let me show you. kubectl get ingress. So these are the rule. Actually I am talking about rule resource. Now ingress name of ingress resource is this. In kubectl describe ingress resource for this name. So this resource say that any traffic for any domain cafe.example.com/t, then traffic will go to the service key. So we need to put /t or coffee next to the whole URL / let us say t. Good. So here traffic has reached to web server, local application server, and the application IP address of application pod is this. Let me hit again command, same command here again. Okay, so we can see there are multiple pods for the same application. kubectl get all. So all these resources, they are created with these two lines here. They are written here. I have not shown to avoid complexity, but this is straightforward. So we can see that there are two pods, they are holding coffee application. There are three pods, they are running tea application. This is a service which is exposing coffee application. This is service for tea application. So our ingress controller is putting forwarding traffic to service, and service then forwarding traffic to tea or coffee application. So we have learned that if I am putting tea here, then traffic is going to one application server set of application, and if I am putting coffee here, then application traffic is reaching to another set of application. So in this way we have proved that application server or ingress controller can route traffic as per input or URL requirement, and we need not to put multiple load balancer, multiple internet interfaces and public IPs to expose application. We can use same existing infrastructure. Only thing that you need to write rules in a resource. About one more part, we can see that in this command I showed you the rules in ingress controller. So as in the last part we can see events. So this is again beneficial for you while troubleshooting. Look for events. If there is no event, means whenever you are implementing in YAML file, there is no event, means API server cannot send information rules to ingress controller, hence there is no event. So possible reason is class in YAML file you may have not. I can show you the here with this is you can see that this is the class name, ingress class name, and if you have not added this part even, then also your application cannot send information to controller, and because there is no event. Also we can see that we have used TSL part here. So TSL part provides security, so which is actually showing here. So you can, if you don't want you can to use security feature, then you can remove this part so that it will avoid complexity in your application for testing and development, and you can use HTTP pages. Okay, so in this way we have completed the session. As we can see the output here, whenever change in URL, the coffee traffic is going to coffee application, while tea traffic is going to tea application pods. So we have learned multiple concept here: node port, ingress controller, version, and many other stuff. So thank you for watching this video. See you again. Thanks. Bye.